Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Nick family. Welcome to the Just Nickin' It off-season show. Right, that's the title for now. We're here to talk free agency. So we're going to talk a little bit about the names that have been mentioned that the Knicks are interested in. Remember, the Knicks are, I believe, $8 million under the second apron. I don't think the Knicks want to go over the second apron. And I think the Knicks, and I know the Knicks can also use the taxpayers mid-level exception, which would then cap them at the second apron. And I believe that's, is it 5.1, 5.3?
5.7.
5.7. And then they can also sign vet minimum contracts, right? So this is where the Knicks are. The Knicks, unfortunately or fortunately, are a top-heavy team. You know, like most of their money is tied up in the top 7. You could even say the top 6. I don't even know if you want to include McBride's little salary. Well, if you no Hart started top 5, yeah, and Mitch top 6. They're not going to have a lot of money to fill out the back end of the bench. But if you think about it, they just need 2 players, right? In that rotation. And then the other players I would think would be situational. 1 through 7 is already set if no changes are made, you know, with Mitch and McBride or Hart and McBride, whoever it is. We know who the top 7 is. The Knicks can get 2 more players, have 9, and then, you know, we already have young players to fill out, you know, the rest of them. We'll be okay, I think. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about whether or not the Knicks should even look to free agency. You know, you all know how I feel about it, but I'm a woman of the people, so we'll discuss it anyway. You know, for those who feel that the Knicks shouldn't even look to free agency and should just fill 8 through 10 with those that are already on the bench. They re-signed Hukporti. I think they extended. I'm not sure whether it was an extension, what it was for McCullough.
They gave a qualifying offer to McCullough.
A qualifying offer. He was a restricted
means that he would become a restricted free agent. So.
Oh, they gave him a qualifying offer. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I don't think he's signing for more than a vet min contract anyway. I think that's just a matter of protection for us. We want to sign him, but we don't necessarily want to sign him right now, is what I think.
Right. Anyway, Geoff, Ajay, how are you 2 doing? We'll also get into some NBA stuff that's happened already.
Ready to roll. Let's get it rocking. Salute to the chat. We missed you on Thursday, Ajay. Glad you're back.
Yeah,
let's
man.
get it rocking and rolling, bro.
I couldn't even stir up the chat because I was driving. I was listening to like maybe had the last half hour of the show. I couldn't even pluck anybody's nerves in the chat because I was driving. So
salute to it. Look, still the real AD in the chat. You definitely welcome to join us as we talk about free agency. Let me just get to some free agent news, NBA news, and Ajay and Geoff, if you guys heard anything else, feel free to add to it. DeAndre Ayton brought out by the Portland Trailblazers. Reports are that he'll sign with the Lakers. We'll see. Bruce Brown back to Denver. Kevin Looney to New Orleans Pelicans. We already know about Lonzo being traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Okoro. Dorian Finney-Smith to Houston. Michael Porter Jr. to Brooklyn for Cam Johnson, as per Shams. And D'Angelo Russell signed with someone. Do you know who it is? D'Angelo Russell to
2-year deal, player option on year 2.
Okay. All right. Anything else that I may have missed? Cornette to San Antonio, building blocks said. Yeah, definitely keep it coming. Nothing from the Knicks as far as actual signing, at least since I've been off the computer, offline, which is probably the past half hour. But if anything comes up, bring it up. Clint Capella to Houston.
That's a puzzling one.
I mean, they're really trying to get some veterans there, right? They got so Clint Capella is there. Who's playing center? He's playing behind Shagun, right?
And they added Dorian Finney-Smith also.
Dorian.
And they have Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Not sure where all the minutes are coming from for all those guys, but that's Houston's problem, not mine.
Yeah.
Even Adams, it's very good building blocks. I forgot about it. So they've got a really crowded front court.
Yeah. And just go ahead.
I say, how do they work all these people under the cap? It's like, I mean, those aren't cheap players. What are they doing? That's pretty impressive to get all those people and still manage to be under the. Well, I'm assuming they somewhere between first and second apron at this point.
I'm not sure.
I don't know their cap situation well enough to speak to it, Ajay. I would imagine so.
All right. AD, don't get me started. And that's what you do when you are going for a championship. You load up with veterans. All right. So just on the coaching front, Mike Brown got his second interview. Mike Brown, most recently of the Sacramento Kings. I think he's from what I read, the only coach that the only coach that the Knicks interviewed who got a second interview. Looks like he may be the favorite. I mean, Geoff talked about this maybe 2 shows ago. He's not sure how much different he is from Thibodeau in terms of collaboration and, top-down authority when it comes to players. So we'll see how that works out. I also read somewhere on X that the firing seemed to be more of a Dolan thing, that Tibbs had Leon Rose support, and now everything makes sense, right? It makes sense that, in terms of how the coaching search is going, and, I think had they known that, they would at least had some names lined up. Anyway, here we are. Let's talk about the few names that have been associated with the Knicks. Now, these are reports. The Knicks don't talk. We don't know where these reports are coming, are coming from. If there is a name associated with it in terms of the rumor, I'll let you know. But let's start with Russell Westbrook. Let's start with Russell Westbrook, 36 years old. Recently of Denver. Definitely not somebody who's going to be the number 1, 2, 3 option on your team, right? At this point, he comes off the bench for you. Never was a good shooter, but someone that's going to play every night. Somebody that's going to play with a lot of energy every night. Someone who will drive you crazy. I've watched Westbrook a lot, in the sense that he'll come up huge, he'll come up big. He can't even shoot. He'll hit a big shot, right? We already know about his passing. His defense probably is not as good as it once was, but then he'll do a Josh Hart and it'll be a bonehead turnover, right? That's Russell Westbrook. Thoughts on him? Do you think he would fit on this team off the bench? We already got 3 non-shooters in this rotation with Mitch, Hart, and now Russell Westbrook, if we were to sign him. Anyway, Geoff and then Ajay, thoughts on the possibility of Russell Westbrook joining this team? Pros and cons.
First of all, before I get to Westbrook specifically, and I do have some thoughts, what we have to realize with any of these players that we're talking about, they're all flawed players. You're not going to get a perfect rotational piece for the veterans minimum, which is basically what we have to spend.
If the Knicks elect to use it.
And I think you have to keep that in mind. But with that being said, Russ doesn't feel like he's a fit to me. I think he prevents us from playing 5 out, which I think would be leaning into our strength. He's a terrible shooter. And like, I think in Denver's game 7 loss, he was literally minus 40, like minus 40. And you don't have to guard him from 3. And that, we already have that problem with Josh Hart. And so he, in my opinion, he duplicates a lot of the things that Hart does. And there are questions whether we need 1 Josh Hart on this team, much less 2 of them. So, I mean, I like Josh Hart, but I'm just saying I don't think we need to double down by adding Westbrook. Westbrook is a big name, but as you pointed out, this is not the Russell Westbrook who was averaging triple doubles and an MVP candidate in Orlando. That ship has long sailed, and it's a name, but it's not a name that we need to be associated with, in my opinion.
What I will say about Russ, other than his skill set, he plays with an edge, and that's just something that I don't think the Knicks have. He plays with an edge. He shows up every night. He's not a good shooter, but he'll hit a big shot. But I agree with you. He's like a duplication as far as Josh Hart is concerned. Like, at this point in his career, like a utility knife, basically. But I like his competitiveness, and I like the edge that he plays with. And the Knicks are missing that, in my opinion. Ajay?
So I kind of agree with Geoff and you, Queen, that he is a different version of Josh Hart, albeit a little bit older, not a little bit, but older than Josh Hart. But I wouldn't mind. I don't like. I mean, listen. When I see Westbrook on other teams, that I don't. I mean, he used to be a good player, and I really wouldn't want him on the Knicks. But if they get him, I wouldn't be upset. Because of that edge that you mentioned that we lack it, because of that intensity, the passion, the energy that he plays with, even at that age that he is, that's something that could be useful. So instead of having somebody like PJ Tucker, and PJ Tucker, whatever little bit he did on the bench, but at least you could get some minutes out of Russell Westbrook. But here's the thing though, if they pick up Westbrook, Josh Hart has 1 foot out the door. Because of they're the same type of player. So they obviously Josh Hart now would be coming off. I mean, not counting in Westbrook, right? I think Josh Hart would probably feel like should be coming off the bench, right? And he's not gonna be under a different coach, not named Thibodeau. He probably wouldn't be playing 40 minutes. Josh Hart is probably gonna be playing, I don't know, 32 minutes, 31 minutes. If you could get anything close to that out of somebody like Russell Westbrook, or not even that, or you could get like a power forward, because the thing is, I don't even know how they would work this out, because Josh Hart is making $18 or $19 million or something like that. Like, how do you get rid of that in order to bring somebody in? So they'd have to trade for somebody, and then bring in Russell Westbrook to provide the energy that Josh Hart was bringing. So if they do sign Russell Westbrook, I feel like, and I wouldn't like that. I don't want to Russell Westbrook instead of Josh Hart, especially because of the age. But I feel like if they do that, that's where we headed.
Yeah, I will say though that Russell can play point guard. I mean, I think that's what sets him apart from Josh Hart. Right?
And
offense.
I think his defense is a little bit better than Josh Hart too.
Do you think though that Josh Hart defense was always like this, or just fell off last year for whatever reason?
No, it fell. I think it fell off. It fell off last year, and in the playoffs I think in the playoffs it's just he was a lot more focused on grabbing rebounds, which is what, like, for some reason he wasn't paying attention to the defense, which is not good in the NBA, man. You can't be a one-trick pony in the NBA. You got to be able to do certain things right? Not a thing right. You got to be able to provide more than one more than one thing, more than one thing to the table.
Who's the one trick pony? Westbrook or Hart?
No, Hart. I'm saying Hart is really great at rebounding, but then he doesn't do like the other stuff. He's not great at. So you need to really be great at a couple of things. Even though I would say like him bringing up the ball, like he brings up the ball, like he's a one-man fast break. He does that all the time. But then we all know what Russell Westbrook can do the same thing. Russell Westbrook is not as good a rebounder as Josh Hart, but he is a good rebounder, and he is a good point guard. He's a point guard, and like you said, he's not a great shooter. He's probably a worse shooter than Josh Hart. I don't look at the numbers, but just by watching the games, Russell Westbrook is not a great shooter, but he's not afraid to take the shot.
Right.
Which is to me that's a plus, because you can't hit it if you don't take it. At least he has a chance of hitting it because you're taking a shot. Okay. But, if I had to pick, like, Josh Hart is much younger. And, because if something happens, God forbid, during the season, you need somebody to play a ton of minutes. I don't know if Russell Westbrook could do that, but Josh Hart can, like he's done in the past, so we know he can.
Yeah. I don't really see them as one or the other, though. I think Josh Hart is under contract, and Russell is for a few more years, and Russell Westbrook would be a one-year player coming off your bench.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see them as the same as the same type. I mean, there's some overlap in the sense that they're utility guys. They can both of them can actually do more than one thing. AD, pointing out that Josh broke the Knicks record in triple doubles, right? Westbrook can kind of do the same thing, but there are certain parts of their game that is very different. And one is that Russ can play the point, which would allow Jalen Brunson to actually play off ball. I don't think I would be surprised if the Knicks signed Russell Westbrook. But as someone just said in the chat, Tyus Jones, who the Knicks reportedly were interested in, just signed with Orlando. So no need to no need to talk about him.
Take him off the list.
to take him off the list. Solid point guard. Not a great defender, not a horrible defender, but definitely I think average, maybe a little below to average defender.
Good signing for Orlando, though. Exactly the type of player that the Magic needed, in my opinion.
Yeah. But he can run an offense. The Knicks really need someone, in my opinion, that can run an offense. Somebody said, Brooklyn Butch said 1 year, $7 million.
We couldn't offer that. So
yeah, we couldn't offer that. But last year he was willing to take less. I'm not sure that would
be. But let me ask you a question though. Tyus Jones, and I like him. Last year I really wanted him. But he's 6'1". Does that matter? Like he's a small guard, just
He is. Yeah.
That may be, so the defense would be an issue, the size would be an issue, but he is a great and I hear people, they say all the time like his assist to turnover ratio is like really, really good. So
yeah,
I guess he could have helped in that sense, but he is a small guard.
Yeah, and he played with Towns in Minnesota for I think 4 or 5 years. So that familiarity would have helped, but he's off the board.
It's looking like Russell Westbrook.
There's a few more no, and Russ could be our Spreewell. Yeah, I think like Geoff said, everybody at this point is flawed. It's going to be hard to get complete players with the vet minimum. Something they're going to be undersized. They're going to be, on the tail end of their career. Like there's going to be something going on with them. All right. The next person I heard that the Knicks were tied to was a center. Now, I don't know if the Knicks are in the market for a center. It remains to be seen whether or not they're going to sign Mitchell Robinson to an extension. But Nick Richards came up again, making $5 million. He just re-signed with Phoenix, but Phoenix traded for Mike Williams from Charlotte on draft night, and then they also drafted a center at number 10. So apparently, there's a chance. I mean, for me, the only thing at this point is just health. It's going to be rare to find a center whose defense is better than Mitch. You're not. So the only way you're going to be able to match that is if that person brings something on the offensive end, or you can argue there's a drop off defensively, but this person doesn't have an injury history, right? That's the only thing you can argue. Thoughts on Nick Richards for this team?
Jay?
How much money are we talking here? Can we even? Is that even?
I think $5 million.
5 million. So he.
I think they picked up his option. I want to say. Let me. Go ahead.
Listen, he would be an upgrade from Precious Achiuwa. And especially at the 5. But like you said, are we trying to match Houston? Sounds like Houston Rockets have like 5 centers. Are we trying to match their roster? Because now we would have 3 center only guys, and then Cat, who could also play center. So basically, somewhere between 3 and 4 centers. So do we really need that much in the front court, on the front line? And when we know we need help in other areas, right? We need better shooters. We need help with somebody bringing up the ball. Should that really be the focus? I don't know if I'm the Knicks. If I'm focusing on that. I think we're okay on the front. I mean, there are 2 things I'm doing if I'm the Knicks. I'm looking for backcourt help and bench help. So, of course, if you're gonna bring a center, if you're trading Mitch or somebody to bring a more solid center or whatever, fine. And somebody in the chat, I'm sorry, I didn't catch who it was, said DeAndre Ayton. No, no.
It's gonna be too expensive anyway. You don't have to worry about it. He's too
expensive, and he's being bought out, so you don't know. He might come in real cheap.
Bought out, yeah.
But where is he gonna play?
Whoa.
Or you got to get rid of somebody else. Or
right.
If he's playing,
right,
where's Mitch going to play? Or where's somebody else is going to go?
If the Knicks are bringing in a center, wouldn't you think that means they're not signing
Mitch?
Then they're not going to re-sign Mitch to an extension. That's the only reason to bring.
That's the only reason. That's exactly what I'm saying. That would be the only reason to bring a center.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But if that was the case, would Nick Richards appeal to you?
Yes.
Okay. If they move
from Mitchell Robinson, yes, definitely.
And do you see him playing beside Cat or behind him?
I think he would be able to play both. I think he'd be able to play both with Cat, so double big with Cat, or replacing Cat, depending on what you need, offense, defense, or depending on But I think he'd be able to play, because sometimes he almost play like a power forward sometimes, Nick Richards. So yes, I think he would be able to play both.
Yeah. Yeah. Geoff?
The only piece that we could really trade for him, I think, is Robinson, because he's the only one who makes enough money. Unless you're going to stack a couple of the young guys, like have a deal with Deuce and Pacome or something like that, and I don't think that makes a lot of sense from a team building.
Let me check. I don't think he makes a lot.
I think he makes like $5 million, doesn't he?
Right.
But we've got to have at least $6 million going out because we're over the first apron. So we can't take back more than we're bringing in.
Right.
So, and like I said, I don't think it makes sense to trade small for big. Like if Deuce and a rookie contract would get it done, but then you're hard capping yourself at the second apron because you're aggregating salaries for Nick Richards. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Then if you're talking about Mitch as the centerpiece for that deal, you're talking about like a $7 million difference in salaries. I don't know if that deal works from the Phoenix perspective or not. I don't know what their cap situation is. I don't know if they're first apron, second apron, what have you. But I just don't see a deal that makes sense for Richards unless something else is on the horizon where you would where the main component parts of this team are significantly different and in which case, like if you traded for a 2, for instance, somewhere else and Deuce were expendable, then then that changes the calculus, I'm sure. But I just don't see. I like Richards the player. I just don't see that as being an option that the Knicks at the present time can really acquire easily.
Because you're saying they would have to trade Mitchell Robinson, and you're not sure. Well, I don't think they would be interested. It would probably need to be a 3-team trade. I don't think they would be interested in Mitchell.
Yeah, they already have that. The reason they'd be getting rid of Richards in the first place is because they've got Williams and the other kid at center. So trading them another center isn't going to be appealing to them. I mean, I guess if you can find a third team, but that's complicated in and of itself. And so here you go. And again, I don't see the Knicks trading a package that includes Deuce, because that just weakens our backcourt depth for what is probably a lateral move, if anything. So right. I just don't really see it right now with him.
Yeah. It depends also on if they moved, in terms of McBride, it would depend on that. If it was a 3-team trade, if they would be getting a guard back
right
in that trade. And then also we'll move on to Clarkson as well, who was brought out by Utah, and apparently the Knicks are at the top of their list. So the Knicks may feel like, well, we have a replacement for Deuce, even though I would like to have both of them. But if the Knicks felt like that, then maybe they would feel like they can do the Nick Richards trade. I think the issue with Mitch is the injury history. And no matter what, unless you feel Huck Porty is ready, whoever that third center is, if Mitch is here, whoever that third center is going to be important.
Agreed.
Is going to be important.
Especially because Precious is probably not going to be here.
Precious is probably not going to be here. And the Knicks have to make a decision whether or not they feel like Mitchell Robinson is past his injury. And there's no way for them to know. They're just taking an educated guess together with the medical staff, whether they feel like,
are you willing to make that bet or not? That's the question. Very well said.
Are you willing to make that bet? All right. Let's talk about Jordan. Let's talk about Jordan Clarkson, who, like I just said, got bought out by Utah.
I'm sorry. Did you do that super chat already?
Oh, no, I didn't. Brooklyn Butch, 34.97. Appreciate the super chat. If you had to move Mitch, would you trade Mitch and McCall for Austin Reeves and Hachimura? Lakers need a defensive center. I like Austin Reeves. I'm not a big Hachimura fan. So I wouldn't.
I don't think the Knicks would do that trade because I'm not sure. Reeves just turned down an extension with the Lakers. And the Knicks don't like to deal with players who are extension eligible entering the final year of their deal. So I just don't think that's a trade that Leon Rose and company would sign off on. I'm not super high on it either way. I'm kind of with Queen. Rui's not my cup of tea. You know, it could work out for us. They're both good players, but I don't think that's enough return for Mitch and McCall, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Ayton has been linked to the Lakers.
But they just signed Brook Lopez, so maybe they're not going the Ayton direction.
The Lakers signed Brook Lopez?
Or was that the Clippers? Never mind, that was the Clippers. Sorry.
The
The
Clippers,
Clippers signed Lopez, not the Lakers. I got my Los Angeles teams mixed up. Ignore that.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, definitely keep the free agent news. You know, free agent news coming. All right. So Jordan Clarkson definitely can score off the bench, can be a little erratic at times, but is also someone that can go for 30. He has it in him, you know. Wouldn't be surprised if he dropped, 30 points. Apparently the Knicks are at the top of his list. He's bought out, so I don't think money is going to be that big of a factor. The Knicks can use some of the taxpayers mid-level exception. You don't have to use it all on one player. But if you use any portion of it, you're capped at the second apron, from what I understand. Ajay, your thoughts on Clarkson, and then Geoff in the chat, let me know
if
what you think.
If the price is right, if he's not too expensive, yeah, definitely. And I know the Knicks is not picking up anybody that they deem too expensive. So, and you said the Knicks are at the top of his list. So he wants to come here and willing to take less money to come here than to go somewhere else for a couple of more millions.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know the Knicks at the top of his list from what I understand. I'm not sure if that means he's willing to take.
Yeah, he would be a great bench piece to have, because remember, that's one of the areas we need help. Somebody to come off the bench, provide the energy. I don't know what his defense is like. I haven't, I don't watch him.
It's atrocious, Ajay.
Oh, is it?
It's a traffic cone.
Oh.
He is an absolute traffic cone.
Come on, Geoff, lie to me, man. I was already happy that we could get
No, I'm going to keep it real with you. He's a traffic cone, and he's not a good three-point shooting traffic cone. So,
but he could score, though. He's a good scorer.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If the defense is really that horrendous, then maybe we should pass on him. Like, I don't want nobody coming off the bench scoring 30, and then you can't stop nobody from scoring 30 on the other end.
Does he have defensive ability, though?
I don't think so.
East Blue Drew said he's not that bad
on defense.
Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. His numbers are not very good. That's all I know. Well, I'll tell you what I do know about Jordan Clarkson, though. His free throw rate is very good. He gets to the line. He shoots at a good percentage. He's a chuck and duck kind of a player. He's going to take a lot of shots to get his points. His effective field goal percentage is in the campaign territory. So you're not talking about a guy who's going to be efficient. What he will do, though, is, and he's not a passing point guard either. He's not a playmaker. What he can do is get to the rim and create his own shot, which is something that is in short supply for this team.
Yep.
But the question is, Jalen Brunson's going to be playing Jalen Brunson minutes. You can't really play Brunson and Clarkson together, in my opinion. I don't think that's a good combination, especially defensively, but maybe I'm wrong. But he doesn't spread the floor either, because he's not a good three-point shooter. I think he shot 36% last year, but that was around the career high side for him, not the low side. So I think he's a 33% shooter. And so I look for a vet min contract, which is I think all he's going to be worth, and that's all he should command, by the way, because he's got the buyout money, and if I'm not mistaken, the buyout money plus whatever contract he signs goes together as kind of his maximum salary anyway. So let's say he got bought out. I'm just using an example. I don't know what the numbers are. Let's say if Utah bought him out for $10 million, right? And the Knicks sign him to the vet min, which is like 3.4 or something like that. So he would still get a total of $10 million, but Utah would only have to pay 6.6 and we would pay 3.4. Something like that. So that from that standpoint, he's a vetman guy. You could certainly bring him in the door. He brings a different aspect to the Knicks, and like I said, he can create his own shot, which is something that not a lot of people on this team can do. But he's low efficiency, high volume scorer, and I think he would really drive a lot of people crazy if the Knicks signed him. But again, he's a vetman signing. They're not perfect. So if you value the stuff that he brings to the table enough, then you bring him in the door.
He's a vetman signing only because he got brought out. If he was on the free agent market, he would not be a vetman signing.
He ought to be.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I agree
his numbers. I think his numbers say that that's about all he's worth. But you feel free to disagree. Yeah. I mean, he's very inefficient scorer.
He is inefficient, Geoff. But if he was on the free agent market, he would not be a vetman. I hear what you're saying. You're going by the stats. If this is the stat, but we're talking about somebody who can come in and score for you off the bench. And like you said, at this point, these guys aren't perfect. At this point, there's gonna be some trade-offs, right? I'm okay with them. I'm okay because one of the things I feel the Knicks need is scoring off the bench. I just don't think we have it. I think that, Mitchell Robinson is not going to score for you off the bench. He'll get you some points off of offensive rebounds. I think Deuce is somebody I don't consider him a scorer. He's somebody that, somebody has to create shots for him and, he'll knock it down. He can attack a closeout, don't get me wrong. But somebody off the bench, if one of your starters is having a bad night that can come in and fill it up off the bench, Clarkson can do that for you. But I agree with you. He is inconsistent. He's not going to be perfect. None of these guys are that we're talking about. Russell Westbrook has his issues. Tyus Jones, if we were to sign him, he's in Orlando now, from what I understand, would have issues. Nick Richards, more, rebounder, block shots than offensive players. So I'm not sure if there's anybody out there who's going to be, all around good player for the Knicks.
I'm more saying let's temper our expectations. I'm not saying Jordan Clarkson can't help you. I'm just saying that as campaign drives you crazy, as Elfrid Payton drove you crazy, this is the caliber of player that we're talking about in Jordan Clarkson. He's not
better than those guys, Geoff.
I don't think he's appreciably better than either one.
You don't think?
No, I don't.
You don't think he's better than Campaign?
Not much.
Okay. All right. Jordan Clarkson, Campaign couldn't drop. At the end of the season, if he was here, he would have at the very least 5 30-point games. He was 6th man of the year at one point.
He's the guy 33 years old, and he's not near the player he was when he was 6th man of the year.
I hear you. I just don't think he's Campaign level. I hear what you're saying. And if he and if he comes in the Knicks sign, we'll get a chance to see up close and personal what he can bring to this team. But I think he's flawed. I'm not saying he's perfect, Geoff. I just think he's more than a vet minimum player. And I think he would be
I think he's better than Campaign, to be clear, but he's not like light years better than Campaign. And he will bring the same agita that Campaign brought at a lot of nights, because he'll have some nights when he looks great like game one of the Pistons series for campaign, and then there'll be other nights where he can shoot you out of a game just as easily. And it's he's that type of player.
Hopefully, we'll get an opportunity to
Sounds like we will.
To see it. And sometimes different situations bring out the best in you. So let's see. This was reported by Stephen Bondi, that he was finalizing a buyout. He has to clear waivers, and let's see if the Knicks find him intriguing. I would love to have a scorer off the bench, but I do hear you. There's definitely going to be some trade-offs. All right. Oh, Ajay, your thoughts? Did you
Yeah,
speak?
Jordan Clarkson.
You did.
Clarkson?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did speak. All right. And let me just I guess he's saying definitely better than Cam Payne, way better than Cam. David Smith wasn't that long ago. Pockets of the same. Yeah. Cam Payne cannot score like Clarkson. People who think Clarkson is nice is people who don't watch Utah.
He averaged 16 points a game on 13.7 shots, people. Let's not get carried away about Jordan Clarkson.
Love to see him get a shot with the Knicks. Name a better option than Clarkson. Cam never dropped 25 in a game, bro. He averaged 16, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He's better than Payne. Trav, salute to Trav. Been a minute, my brother. Clarkson can get to the free throw line and provide paint touches. Boogie, appreciate you. Thanks for all the prayers and love from you all as I deal with this off-season surgery. Doctors say I'm healing well and will be ready for training camp. Salute.
That's what we needed to hear, Boog.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. In the words of the great Stringer Bell, Clarkson is a 40-degree day. Okay. All right. All right. Let's talk about Landry Shamet, who the Knicks are interested in bringing back, but apparently there are others interested in Shamet as well. Is he somebody you want to bring back, Geoff?
Yes, absolutely, I do. I like Landry Shamet. Hopefully, we get him back on the minimum. I thought he finally, the shoulder was well and right at the end of the season. He's really started to hit shots. His defense was surprisingly good to me. I think Shamet. I really like Shamet. I want to bring Landry back.
Yeah. Ajay.
I have no issues with him coming back. Especially with him coming off the bench. I feel like Landry Shamet could give us some good minutes. If you given him 12, 13 minutes, he could be very productive in those minutes. He tries really hard on defense, and defense is mostly about effort. And he's not lost out there on defense. He knows where to be. He knows how to play like in your face defense. So I like that about him. And though he was not consistent or he didn't really get in rhythm this past season, but he could be a good shooter. He's been around the league and we've seen him play with various teams where he's been excellent from the 3-point line or from the mid range, but mostly from 3-point line. And that's something we're going to need coming off the bench. So we'll assume that last season, because of one, lack of playing time, and two, his shoulder injury / surgery, whatever he had going on there. Let's assume, and pretend that that was the reason why he didn't have a good shooting year, and hopefully this time he goes in on time for training camp, and he comes into the season in regular season form, and we can get more out of him. So, and how old is Shemet? He's like 27. He's not that old either, right? He's like a young vet.
I think he might be a little older than that, but I don't think he's 30 yet. Yeah, I don't think he's 30.
Yeah.
Well, listen, the Knicks are a top-heavy team. I'm not sure what they're gonna be, and so they don't have a lot of money. So I'm not sure how much what they're gonna be able to get in free agency. What are we looking for? Like, you got the starters, you got Mitch, you got McBride. That's your top 7. The Knicks need, what, 2 more players to fill out the rotation, you would say?
At least.
I mean, once you get to the 10th player, you probably just, it could be one of the young guys. Or do you feel like the Knicks 8 through 10 should be the guys that are already on the bench? Keep in mind, the Knicks don't have, other than Kolek, they don't have an experienced point guard behind Brunson if they don't bring back Cam Payne or DeLon Wright. So you got to look at this free agency in terms of what the Knicks need and what they're trying to do. So top 7, you have your backup center in Mitch, provided that they re-sign him. So that's no longer a need. But I would think a veteran point guard would be a need. Whether they play Kolek or not, I still think you need a backup a point guard with experience. Clarkson ain't that, right? He's more of a scorer. Yeah. Talk to me about how many players you think the Knicks should be looking at in free agency. What's the position of those players, do we already have that on the team in terms of the 4 young guys we have in Kolek, Akporti, Daddier, and McCullough?
That's a tough one, Queen. Because on one hand, you want to bring experienced guys because of where we're at, right? This team is a contender. But at the same time, you want to see what you have in those young guys because, you feel like some of those guys can play. Maybe they can play regular season ball, but they're not at the level like when the heat is turned up in the playoffs. Those are not the guys you want to be relying on, right? So it's a quagmire, man. It's a tough situation. I would at least bring 2 more guys that have been around the league, 6-7 years, 2 more experienced guys who can really help beef up the bench, and then figure out a way to get. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Whoever that coach is going to be, the head coach is going to have his hands full or her hands full trying to figure this out.
Okay. The Knicks need 2 more. The Knicks need to bring in 2 more players, in my opinion, Geoff. At least.
Oh, I agree. I would like to see a point guard. I'm kind of with you. I think that we need someone in case Brunson is hurt for a game or 2. I don't think Kolek is ready to step into those shoes. And even if he is, I'd like to have a 3rd guy in there in the mix there. I think that Cam Payne has his flaws, but it was nice to have him at spurts this season. And so that, and, I'll probably get tomatoes for this one, but I think an Al Horford type might not be a bad idea either. Someone who can play both 4 and the 5, can shoot the 3 a little bit. Not a great defender anymore, but a reasonable one. I think it gives us lineup versatility. And, so I wouldn't hate that, even if it's not him specifically, I wouldn't hate that archetype of a player. I think it could help the roster, and it's someone really to replace Achua, right? We're going to need someone to fill that role on this roster. And so, whether it be him or someone similar, I think that's a definite need, because I think what we saw is that you do suffer some things with Josh Hart at the 4, right? We definitely saw this. Even as great a rebounder as he is, it wasn't ideal. And so, if you coming off the bench as more wing depth, I kind of feel a little bit more comfortable with that, and having a guy who can back up the 4 and the 5. And I don't mind Hukporti either, but I don't want to rely on him for rotation minutes right now. I'm not sure that he's ready. I think he's on his way. Same with Kolek. I just don't know if those two are seasoned enough yet to depend upon come the playoffs. Like, if you need to insert him in a regular season game against Washington or something like that, then yeah, okay. But if you're talking about playing the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals, for example, do you want to be relying on 15 minutes out of Tyler Kolek or Hukporti for that matter? I don't. So
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the question too, and I think we can get into the nuance of it. I don't believe we're having to play the kids conversation again at this point in the Knicks development in terms of where we are as far as contenders. But if we just get a little more nuance, Greg and anybody else in the chat, what do you mean by ready? When you say somebody is ready, what do you mean? Does that mean they're ready to get some minutes? Does that mean they're ready to get consistent minutes and you're counting on them to produce game in and game out? When you say somebody is ready, what do you mean? Like, just ready to get minutes, ready to be in the rotation and get some minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, or ready, let's just say Kolek, to be the backup point guard for Jalen Brunson? Like, what do you mean when you say, let's just use Kolek? Kolek is ready. What does that mean? Yeah. So if you can let us know, Greg and anybody else in the chat, what do you mean when you say these guys are ready? Ready for what type of role on the team? Who do you think any of the rookies, they're not rookies now, right? Second year players are ready to be in the rotation? And what would their role be in the rotation? Like, would you see, again, Kolek as the backup point guard to Brunson, or you feel back end of the rotation, 8 to 10 minutes a game, kind of being brought along slowly? Anybody you think is ready to be in the rotation? So you don't think anybody's ready to be in the rotation, even for just 8 to 10 minutes a game? No? Okay. Ajay?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to get minutes, but I mean, at some point you want to see, somebody like Pacome Dadia. His size is very desirable. He's 6'7", 210, 215 pounds. This is somebody we could use, especially if he play defense and can shoot. I don't know, his defense is okay from the little bit that I've seen, but he is a pretty good shooter. So that's somebody you want to see at least, come up to the speed of the game. You know what I'm saying? So, which is part of development, like for you to speed up, aka the game slows down for you. It's not that the game slows down; it's like those players play faster, right? And you'd like to see him getting up there in speed and play more at the NBA speed. But it's going to be tough, like you said, at the point that where the Knicks are right now. It's going to be tough developing. You know, it's not like you have a group of young kids like OKC that are developing together that are coming up. You know, you have one group of guys that are in their prime, and then another group of guys that are in the sophomore year. So it's going to be tough for them to get minutes. You know, they're probably going to be playing a ton of G League minutes for development, and maybe come in when somebody's hurt, or come in and participate in a blowout game, in either direction, whether we get blown out or we blowing somebody out, and then for them to get some reps that way.
Yeah.
It's just going to be tough.
Yeah. So when you guys say they're ready, if you can just say more of what you mean by that. So Rebuild NYK 107 said Kolek may be ready to be in the rotation, but not behind Brunson. Building Block 6762 said Hukporti and Dadier can play 8 minutes. Come on. So now this is different. That's why I'm saying there's some nuance to this when we're talking about playing. What's their role in the lineup? 8 minutes, you're talking about the back end of, the rotation. Somebody who's coming in maybe to give a starter some rest, and whatever you get from them, you get from them. You hoping they just, hold the line a little bit. I agree with that. Like I'm on board with that. That's very different than somebody being Kolek being the backup to Brunson and manning the team in those non-Brunson minutes. Those are two different things. So that's what I'm saying about the nuance. Let me know in the chat, when you say their role, what role are you talking about? 8 minutes? I can get with that. Miggy Pim? I hope I got that right. Huck can give you 10 to 12 off the bench without a problems. Those minutes can increase over the course of the season. 10 to 12 minutes back into the roster, back in of the rotation. Hukporti is ready to be in the rotation. 10 minutes. Okay, all right. So I mean, we're not that far off. I know Geoff said 0 minutes, but listen, if somebody is coming in for 8-10 minutes, and you're not expecting, you expect that they're going to make mistakes. They're the back end of the rotation. Fine. But you're talking about Kolek starting behind Brunson. I mean, the non-Brunson minutes. That's another level of being in the rotation. Sharon says Kevin McCullough Jr. is the only one who is ready. Ready for what? What's the role? Okay. Hope didn't get 10 minutes in the G League. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We will see. That center position and that the backups, the center position, whether it's Mitch, and if they're gonna trade Mitch, then they need to fill it. To me, those are the two most important positions: the back who's playing behind Cat and who's playing behind Brunson. And hopefully both of those guys can play behind and with in a perfect world. To me, those are the two most important positions and to address in free agency. And if you're re-signing Mitch, then that's already done. But it just creates other issues too, because that means Hukporti's role is going to be important. Playing around injury-prone Mitch and foul-prone Towns. Right?
A little bit scary, in my opinion.
Yeah. But to Ajay's point, do you bring in another center? Now you have 4 centers on your I mean, you can.
Someone who plays 4 or 5. If it's someone who's versatile positionally that can give you minutes at either spot, I don't think it's as egregious as just like I mean, I know Cornette's already somewhere, but like if you just signed Andre Drummond or someone of that nature, like who's strictly a 5 and can't do anything else, then I don't know that I want to be stacking those players like and having 5 of them on the roster. But if you've got someone with a little bit of positional versatility, and obviously Horford is a warrior, they said, so that's off the board. But he's not the only guy out there who can play some 4 and some 5. So, you know, I think that's what I would probably look for, because Cat's a guy who could play 4 and 5. So that makes them very interchangeable. And if one's in foul trouble, then, you know, you have someone who can step in and, you know, and those sorts of things. So we'll see.
You know what? Now that I think about it, we probably should see if we can find a vet minimum center regardless. Or 4-5, you know, to your point, foul trouble, injury prone, and a second year center, right? I think you just for insurance, it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring in a center. Let me get to, but y'all said Deuce and Mark weren't ready. They weren't. Deuce. Come on, family. They weren't ready. When we said Deuce wasn't ready, he wasn't ready. When we said Grimes wasn't ready, he wasn't. Just because Grimes is going off now in Philly doesn't mean what we said when he was in year 2 was wrong. At that time, he wasn't ready. When we said Deuce wasn't ready, he wasn't ready. He was shooting 29% from the field. I think it was at year 3 where he really stepped up his. I mean, so they weren't ready. I'm not saying these guys won't ever be ready. I'm just saying they're not ready, in my opinion, to have a big role on this team. 8 minutes, 10 minutes, you're not really counting on them. They're giving the starters a breather. They're holding it down until they get back. That's fine. Brunson going to get 35 to 38 minutes a night, so all you need from a backup is 10 to 13 minutes. Yeah, but it needs to be 10 to 13 quality minutes, right? You don't want to lose significantly in those non-Brunson minutes, right? And I'm not saying that's going to only be on Kolek. There's going to be, if it is Kolek backing him up, there are going to be other players on the floor as well. But that unit has to function well when Kolek is out there on the floor. And I'm not even worried about these guys regular season. To me, I'm more worried about the playoffs. Groovy 226, we need a scorer off the bench. Okay. Curtis D. Young, 3350. Is this the new thing? You got to put numbers at the end. You got to put numbers at the end of your name now. Give them about blank minutes. If they happen to have good production in any game, let them roll. Agree with that. Dude, still not ready for the minutes he gets.
G gonna be fighting with Wiz now.
And Wiz is in the building, right?
World War III about to open up in that chat now.
James Nagy will shock all you guys. He is far better than Hulk. How tall is James Nagy, though?
Nagy's decent. I think he may be a 7-footer.
He is? Oh, talking about the
kid that we got, the other guy we got in the Minnesota trade.
Yeah, gotcha.
Let me look him up.
Okay. The coolest 8 to 10 minutes is all we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, Najee is a 7-footer. Legit.
But he's not. Why is he not?
I don't know if he can play or not. He doesn't have any NBA experience really, but he's also just 20 years old.
Size 9, why is he nice? Like, how do we know how he's going to be in an NBA game? right? I mean, I take it he has a nice skill set, right? He said you can see the small things. Okay, all right. I mean, yeah, I think I've just been around too long, and I've seen a lot of highlights and a lot of tape in my day. And I just got to see these guys perform in, overtime. No, somebody said, don't talk about me, great grandson Deuce. We'll be in the summer league. He plays just like Mitch. How many times you see summer league MVPs that like, yeah. We'll see. Again, that's the skill set. I'll get a chance to see the skill set. That's not going to really tell me anything until I see them.
Summer league's not really geared toward bigs anyway. I mean, it's more of a guards game. I don't think you really learn a whole lot about your bigs.
Yeah. Anything else on free agency? Anything else on the Knicks filling out their bench? I think we all agree a backup center and even if they're not trading Mitch, another center and a point guard.
Yeah.
Thomas Bryant is available. Thomas Bryant looked so light when he was playing, right? He looked skinny when he was playing in Indiana.
If Bryant's available for the vet men, it's not a bad idea to bring him in my opinion. You would like him. He's a stretch five. He can add a little bit to the offense. I don't know what kind of rim protection
he would get. Those 9 points against the
Knicks,
one of those playoff games.
Yeah, I mean, but he did that in Washington too. I mean, he's not like an elite shooter or anything, but you could certainly play 5 out with him if that's what you want to do. He's not a Mitchell Robinson clone by any stretch of the imagination.
Because we're going for a chip. This is the Knicks are in a different place, Bagger Jones. They're in a different place right now. You're not, if we were 3 years out from our championship window, that's a different story. We right here now. It takes guys into year 3 to become consistent. If we're talking about 8 minutes, 10 minutes, that's something totally different. If we're talking about this going to be the 6th or 7th guy off your bench, no.
Queen, did you do J Boogie super chat?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think we can afford him. The power forward from Philly.
Abu Seli.
Yeah. I think I would be a great addition. I think it's going to take more than $5.7 million to sign him. We'll see. Geoff, you want to say something?
I agree with that about Yabusele. I think he'll probably price himself out of the market for us, but it's going to be slim pickings any way you go. I mean, when you have 5 guys to sign and $11.5 million to do it, it's not easy. It's not easy to come up with talented guys. It's just not.
What is he? What position is he? A power forward?
Power forward. But I think they also played him.
Small though. He looked like a kind of Charles Barkley kind of power forward, but he's probably obviously taller than Charles Barkley. But that's what he looks like on the court.
Anthony D said the money gonna dry up by Wednesday. You probably be able to get 2 players, 2 quality players with $5.7 million.
Yabusele is 6'8". So
6'8".
definitely an undersized 5 or power forward. But that's the kind of archetype I was talking about. A guy who shoots 38% for three. I mean, he's really a poor man's Al Horford, if you want to think about it that way. He's 29, so he's not young, but it's definitely the archetype of player that I would be interested in if I was the Knicks. If you could get him, and I don't think we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to put groceries on the table, size 9. Sometimes you have to go with the ramen noodles and the bologna sandwiches.
All right. Anything else on free agency for the Knicks? Anything interesting in the Eastern Conference that you think changes the landscape for us?
I think the Atlanta Hawks got Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Luke Kennard. I think that's a big help for the Hawks. I think they did very well for themselves. I think Alexander Walker is the ideal kind of guard to have play next to Trae Young. And I think that's a really good – I think both of those guys are really good pickups for them.
And they still have Dyson Daniels, remember, also.
Yeah.
As a defender.
Yeah. So
how about Cleveland picking up ball?
I like that for them. Now, Garland is going to be out, maybe out to start the season. So that still gives them, a point guard. So Donovan Mitchell can stay in his role, playing on and off the ball. But even when he gets back, to have him coming off your bench, yeah, I like it.
I think he's an improvement over Isaac Okoro, I think.
Yeah, but didn't they lose a couple of players? Didn't they lose Ty Jerome? And no, I guess they brought back Sam Merrill. But
did they lose Ty Jerome? They were set to lose him, but where did Ty Jerome go?
Oh, I saw it a while ago. I'm not sure. What is the obsession with Lonzo Ball? He's played 70 games in the last 4 years, and y'all act like he's an MVP.
But if you watched him last year with Chicago, in the time that he played, now they had him on a minutes restriction because of his injury history, so they didn't really let him play over 20 minutes a game, and they did that well into the season. But when you saw him play, in that 20 minutes, he would fill up the box score and his three-point shooting, at least in the games I watch. I don't know what his overall percentage is, but his three-point shooting in the game that I watched is better. Even if that's not the case, even if it's respectable, if he was on the Knicks, oh my goodness, and Brunson can really play off the ball. Look, Lonzo Ball knows how to run the show. So I do think that's obviously, I don't think it's going to have as significant an impact because he's replacing Garland. But when Garland gets back, that's who you have running the second team for you. That's huge. In my opinion. Yeah.
And Ty Jerome, he really struggled.
Space Ghost said he's going to Memphis.
Thank you, Space Ghost. I couldn't remember. Getting old.
Hawks are killing it. I mean, the Knicks may just be. Listen, this is the first year of this team. They may just be running it back with just one or two, small tweaks.
Oh, yeah, but Queen, we want to know what that one or two small tweaks is, man. Why do we have to suffer? Why do we have to wait 5 weeks, to find out what the Knicks
Everything needs to be decided within the first 4 hours of free agency, or the front office is an abject failure.
Yes. Geoff, they have all year to prepare for this.
Well, I think most of the moves that they can make are second, third day moves. I don't think any of the guys that we're going to be able to get or go after are our first day guys because we don't have the money. You're going to have to see what's left over.
Correct.
And as Drugs Only said, it looks like Jordan Clarkson may be the move, but he's got to clear waivers first. So you can't even jump on that until he officially becomes available.
Well, if they share your scouting report of him, Geoff, he will clear waivers. Nobody.
I don't think there's any doubt that he'll clear waivers. I would be shocked if he doesn't.
Yeah.
But let me also say this: when Jordan Clarkson, if and when he becomes a Knick, I'll be rooting my heart out for Jordan Clarkson. Once you put on that jersey, I don't care who you. I want you to succeed. I want him to succeed if he's here. He's a high shot scorer. Like he's like 14 shots to get 17 points.
Has he played anywhere other than Utah?
Yeah, he's got to start with the Lakers.
I will say that team construction and team role also changes the number of. He's not getting those shots on the Knicks. So I hear what you're saying. He's an inefficient player, but who do Utah have? So it's
Alan
just
Sexton, Laurie Markkinen. I mean, they had some good players.
But what I'm saying is, it's just like playing Hart out of his role. Like when he comes to the Knicks, he's going to be in a prescribed role. He's not going to be in the same role he was with Utah. So he's not going to be putting up 17 shots a game, 14 shots a game. Like that's not going to be his role on the Knicks.
So you know what that means? That means his points per game is going to go down from 16 to about 8 or 10 because he's a volume shooter.
Well, or he becomes more efficient with less shots, right? Because he's not bailing them out at the end of the game because he's the only one that can, create off the dribble. So maybe in a more, contained role, maybe he's more efficient. We shall see. I would love for the Knicks to have a scorer off the bench that can create their own shot, but I think the first priority for me is the backup for Brunson. Who's backing up Brunson? Not getting 13 shots to score 16 over here. Do we have to bet on Beasley? Clarkson a hooper. Major difference between a hooper and what we have. He's not a shooter. He's a scorer for sure and needs to jack up a lot of shots. Clarkson definitely better than Bridges and McBride. Wow. Okay. In fact, sometimes all a player need is a different situation. Okay. And he's a chucker. What about Dinwiddie? Dinwiddie is another inefficient player. I mean, he's not going to chuck up a lot of shots, but he's inefficient as well. But at least he can run an offense, and he has size. Again, I don't think at this point in the game you're going to get players are going to have issues. With the money the Knicks have, players are going to have issues unless somebody gets bought out who's a really good player and they want to come to the Knicks.
But if they're getting bought out, chances are they have issues.
Yeah. Or they're not a fit.
Yeah.
Anymore, depending on what that team is doing. I'd much rather have Dinwiddie. Didn't Schroeder sign with someone already? Yes. I don't know if we could afford him anyway.
Where did Schroeder go? I'm trying to think. He did sign with someone.
Yeah.
The Kings.
Hmm.
Very good, Almighty Finesse. Thank you. Golly, I can't. This stuff happened an
Cole
hour
Anthony,
ago.
yeah, Cole Anthony is getting bought out by Memphis. They signed, or they if they haven't already, they're gonna sign Jalen Jackson Jr. to an extension, and they need to free up, I think, like $18 million. So I think they're gonna buy out Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony is another one that's inconsistent, don't have a lot of sides. But you talk about hitting big shots. You talk about somebody who's a dog, like that's not afraid. The Knicks don't have that on this team. They just don't.
Money wise, would we be able to get him, Cole Anthony?
He's a buyout candidate, so the
Buyout.
same thing applies to him that would apply to Clarkson.
Oh,
So yeah, it'd be a vet men guy, AJ.
you wouldn't.
Yeah. And his defense is good too.
It would be fun to have Greg Anthony's son and Rick Brunson's son on the team at the same time.
If listen,
He's so little though. He's like 6 foot, right?
if he gets bought out, he's coming here, Cole Anthony.
He's 6'2", Cole Anthony is.
He's 6'2". You just know it, Ajay.
He's coming. If what? Listen, watch. He's coming here. Oh my God, we're gonna have Cole Anthony. That's what we having.
I haven't seen him. I mean, listen, it's still in the works, so I haven't seen any reports about him to the Knicks. You like him?
No. If he's getting bought out, he's coming here. He likes the Knicks. He wants to play for the Knicks.
But do the Knicks want him though?
Listen, we're beggars can be choosers at this point. We don't have a lot of, we don't have a lot of money. We're very limited, man. Like we're gonna get the most decent player we can get. He's not a bad player. He's pretty decent. Damn, he's 5'11".
He does come a big. I mean, there was a playoff game they played. I'm like, look at Cole. Like he's just one of them guys that's inconsistent, but he will have big games. He will hit big shots.
Is he that small for real?
Yeah, he's not.
He's listed at 6'2", but that could just be his media guide height.
Yes, it says 6'2" here.
You like Cole over? How tall is Clarkson?
6'3".
6'3".
That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys like Cole over Clarkson?
Not much. He's a better defender, but he's a worse shooter, believe it or not.
Anthony D says yes. He likes Cole over Clarkson. Warren Kwan said neither. Not at all, Geoff. Cole behind Brunson, shaking my head. I mean, who's out there to play behind Brunson then? I mean, you're gonna bring back DeLon, right? I don't think we're bringing back Campaign.
No, we're not.
So who's out there to back up? He is a dog. He ain't backing down from. He plays with an edge. The Knicks need that. Doesn't have to be him, but we do need that. Who's even out there to play behind Brunson?
I don't know. Cole may be the best choice. I don't. What does his playmaking game look like though? Is he a good assist guy? Like, is he a good? I mean, I know Ajay says assists are the meaningless stat, but I mean, does he run an offense?
Can he run an offense? Exactly.
Geoff,
I'm asking. I don't know.
We got to hit the shot, Geoff. That's the thing with the assists. Is he a good passer?
I mean, what are you looking for? I get what you're saying. Are you looking for a point guard that can create? I mean,
I don't see. Listen,
to me,
correct me if I'm wrong. He's not a creator. He's more of a catch and shoot guy, Cole Anthony, and he can drive. He's a scorer. He's a scoring point guard.
Can he run an offense? I think is the question for me.
I cannot confidently say yes, based on what I've seen him do. I watch a whole lot of Orlando Magic's game, but the few games that I watched, I cannot say that he is.
Okay. Anybody out there in the chat who's familiar with his game? Let me know if he can run an offense. Tyus Jones is already.
Tyus Jones is gone with the win.
He's gone.
Orlando.
He's gone with the win. He is gone.
I think ideally, whoever you get, it's someone you can play behind Brunson. I mean, not just behind Brunson, but with him at times. Like, I think if you could have someone that you could actually play with Jalen, you could get up more minutes too if they were a good player.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If they were good.
Whereas, if you're just talking about, a limited, 10 to 15 minutes behind Brunson, then, and again, veteran minimum, you're not. It's tough to find that, right? Because you find guys that can shoot, they're not really good playmakers and they can't defend. You get guys who can play make, they can't shoot and they can't defend. You get guys who can defend, they can't shoot and they can't play make. It's a round and round you go at this point. So,
yeah, right. Celtics are adding Luka Garza.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that the guy from Miami? Where's he from?
Was it Utah? No, he wasn't in Utah.
I don't know where he played, but I know he was at Iowa in college.
Yeah.
Oh, what did Luka Garza? Where did he play? Is that
He was
Minnesota?
like a third string big man for somebody, I thought. Boston fans will love him.
Wow.
Oh, he's from the Wolves, the T-Wolves. The guy who looked like what's our guy over at MSG?
Wally.
Like Wally. Wally's son.
He was in Minnesota last year.
Yeah, he's been in Minnesota. Wally's kid.
Yeah. So they don't
Spent
have
his rookie year.
Milwaukee doesn't have a center, right? For now, anyway.
They pick up DeAndre Ayton.
Maybe. All right. Let's, before we get out of here, just talk a little bit about the rumors that Mike Brown got a second interview and he might be in the lead to be the Knicks' next head coach. Just okay with that? Want the Knicks to interview more candidates?
Mike Brown's a good head coach. He has his flaws, but every coach that we bring in is going to have his flaws. Brown's been to the finals. He won 48 games his first year in Sacramento. He had a team that had De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis on it and turned it into the number one offense in the league. So from that standpoint, and they played average defense, which seems like a miracle. So I think you can make the case that he can, that he's a good coach. He couldn't take LeBron across the finish line, so I'm not sure if that can be blamed on him or not. I mean, the rosters around James were pretty putrid for most of that time, and you could argue even that they overachieved. But Brown's not my favorite. I'm not sure that he's an upgrade over Tito, but he's not an awful coach. He'll win us some games.
Yeah. 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 Ajay?
I think they should give Taylor Jenkins another interview also. How's that? And I think he is going to get one. They're not just going to settle on Mike Brown. The thing is, I heard Mike Brown might be very close, like good buddies with Wesley, with Worldwide West. But that's really not a qualification. Hopefully they give Taylor Jenkins another shot, another interview, and then let them pick the best man. I would prefer Taylor Jenkins because of his defense. Like he's a little bit more conscious defensive, conscious coach, and that's really the only reason. But otherwise, they both would be all right.
Yeah. I
Either
mean,
one.
you gotta have the
The personnel.
you gotta have the personnel. And what's the defensive mind of both of them? I think Mike Brown has a reputation of being a good defensive coach, if I'm not mistaken. But does he, listen, you got your work cut out for you over here with Cat and Brunson.
Yeah.
You got your work cut out for you.
Also, he was the top assistant for Golden State during their championship years, I'm pretty sure. So there's something to be said for that also.
Yeah. And so, it's possible, the offensive creativity that, a lot of us are looking for. Maybe we get that from, Mike Brown. I don't know how he is as far as playing young guys. That part I don't know. But in terms of his offense, I think that'll help us.
Queen, I just want to remind people to hit that like button. On YouTube, we have 78 people watching and only 40 likes. So 38 people are holding out. And Queen, I think this is the first time I noticed that we have more viewers on X than on YouTube.
That's awesome, though. Thank you, X folks. That's great.
Yeah, shout out to those watching on X. Appreciate you. All right. Anything else?
Cole Anthony's coming here.
Jake.
He is. I'm telling you. If he get bought out, he's coming here. Like,
oh, he's getting bought out. There's not.
Then brace yourselves for Cole Anthony.
So Cole Anthony is going to play. Let's just say this happens. He's going to play just 10 minutes behind Brunson or 12 minutes behind Brunson.
And another 4 or 5 minutes with Brunson.
Somebody said, no, it's not. Somebody said the Knicks signed Clarkson. It's official. I don't see that.
Cody said Clarkson is coming. Oh, Drugs Only said that.
Yeah. Oh, he's trolling. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I don't see Cole. Cole is not a 10-minute a game player. And I don't see how you could play him with Brunson. I think he has to clear waivers, though.
Yeah, he has never played less than 18 minutes per game in his career. So,
yeah,
average 24, almost 25 a game. So, Queen's definitely right about that.
Yeah.
What's your source on that, Drugs Only? I'm not seeing that on my timeline.
So, Stephen Bondi said, assuming he clears waivers and deal is finalized, the Knicks would be getting Jordan Clarkson for the vets minimum. Okay, but he still has to clear waivers, and he will. Okay, and he also says Knicks and Jordan Clarkson, who was just brought out by the Jazz, have mutual interest in free agency. Well, yeah, we knew that. Okay. Well, I know Geoff's heart just sank to the bottom of his stomach.
Look, I'm just being honest about the guy from the numbers. Like, he could come in here and be great, but I think every point that I raised is a valid thing to wonder. and you got a guy who's a high volume shooter who, according to folks, isn't going to get a high volume of shots. How is that going to be a useful player?
We'll see, Jeff.
So,
Maybe he was inefficient because of the shots he would take. Right? A lot of times, the more shots you get, the more efficient you become. The less shots you take, maybe he becomes more efficient. We'll see.
I'm wrong all the time. I would love to be wrong about this one if it happens.
You know, we will see. I thought he was taller than 6'3", though. Shout out to the art man formerly known as Steve. Evening, y'all. Peace and blessings. If Mike is truly the coach, shoot for Malik Monk Clarkson. Keep DeLon, start JB, Mikal, Obi, Cat Mitch. Hard off the bench. Let's see what happens. Still holding out hope for Giannis.
well, Malik Monk is gone, so
He resigned?
didn't he? I thought he resigned. I don't know. It's happening so fast, and this NBA thing is not uploading fast
He
enough.
said we acting like other players off the bench. There's going to be a lot of shots. Josh is not a shooter. Mitch is not a shooter. McBride, who knows what he'll be? You know, maybe he'll come back and he'll be better creating his own shot next year, right? He's gotten better every year. The minimum salary for a player with 10 plus years of experience is projected to be $3,600,000 or so. Yeah. Yeah. If it happens with Clarkson, I'm okay.
You should be. It'll be fine.
Then what's his name? Rit Holtzman, but what's his name from Benji? Jordan Clarkson in the 67th percentile of all combo guards at defensive rebounding on free throws. Okay. I mean,
that's an odd, specific stat. Like he averages 4.8 points in the third quarter or something like that. That's crazy. Like analytics to
who keeps those
to the nth degree.
Whose job is it to keep that stat?
Right. So Ian Begley said Knicks are at the top of Jordan Clarkson's list once he clears waivers. League source says Knicks currently see Clarkson as a priority signing, as Steve Popper said. New York has the $5 million taxpayer exception and veteran minimum exceptions available to offer Clarkson, who agreed to a buyout with yeah.
Hey, headline will say Jordan to New York about 20 years too late.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right with it.
Size 9 says, "Let me find out." Geoff not feeling. Hey, Geoff said it. Geoff said it at the top of the show, man.
Listen. It's gonna be just like down in South Florida, FOFA. That's gonna be Geoff. As we get into the season, he's gonna show him.
My guy, Jordan Clarkson, if he signs here, I'll just say that. I'm not a Clarkson fan. He comes here. I hope he makes every shot he takes. I will root for him like crazy, but he's just not the archetype of player that
What's
I
the
appreciate.
archetype for the Knicks? We already got Deuce, who's going to stay in his lane and shoot when he's, when he gets this. Like, what's the archetype for a player coming off the Knicks bench that you're looking for? These highly efficient players, unless we're talking about Shamet. I mean, highly efficient might be a bit much, but So that means Shamet is not coming back. I mean, we already got Deuce. We got Clarkson supposedly.
More importantly, that means Cole Anthony not coming here. What that means.
Yeah, not coming. And do they see him as a point guard that can run that second unit?
Maybe Bridges is the point guard to run the second unit. Who knows?
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see because
I think whoever we pick, man, listen, Jordan Clarkson will be fine. How old is he?
I think he played. Did he play point? Somebody let me know in the chat. Has he played point guard in his career?
He's a guard. He played both.
He's like a combo.
Yeah, he's a combo guard.
So he's going to be the one playing the non-Brunson minutes, running the team in the second unit. Okay.
He can bring up the ball.
Listen,
Queen, I don't know if he can run an offense. I don't know if he can run an offense, Queen. I know.
Can he run an offense? Old Head says we need a backup point guard, but we also need a power forward. Precious is gone. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. Yeah, we got. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's going to be hard, I guess.
Shams just posted the Clarkson signing.
It's done.
So it's a done deal. Drugs Only was on it. Good job, Drugs Only. Shams just posted the notification.
Okay. All right.
I'll be all right, y'all. I had to root for Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I have no problem rooting for Jordan Clarkson.
He's not going to be getting 40 minutes tonight anyway, Geoff. It's all right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to shade you, Cody. I just saw Drugs Only on it first. My bad, bro.
Yeah. I'm okay with it. We need a scorer. I just need to know, can he run the team behind
Brunson?
Behind Brunson.
Yeah, it's not a bad sign. It's not a bad. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what else you gonna get with the Knicks? Sorry. All right. Anything else before we? Cody said he can do better than Deuce and Cam, so that's a plus. Okay.
As soon as we end the show, they're gonna announce the Knicks head coach situation.
Yeah, I think that's the end of Shamet too. I don't think you need Shamet and Clarkson.
I'm wondering if this is a vote of confidence for Kolek. You know what I mean? Maybe they feel like, Kolek can fill in as the backup one if they'd be, because I don't think Clarkson is a one at all. I think he's an undersized shooting guard. But what troubles me with Clarkson especially is I don't think Clarkson and Brunson could play at the same time. They're both not good defenders. I really don't think that's a good combination, especially not compared with even Deuce and Brunson. I think is a much better tandem. So I don't think they fit together very well, but hopefully I'm wrong.
I'm sorry. That was I was preoccupied. Deuce and Clarkson. You saying you don't think it's a good fit off the bench?
No, I don't think that I don't think that that Clarkson and Brunson are good. I don't think you can play them on the floor much together. And if Clarkson's getting 20, 25 minutes a game, that means he's sharing the court with Brunson some. I don't know that that's a good combination. I worry how you're going to defend anybody with that duo out there. Although it does allow Brunson to play off ball some because you can, Clarkson needs the ball in his hands to score. But
yeah. Yeah. Do we want to spend any time, and hopefully you guys say no, let us know in the chat, talking about LeBron possibly being traded? Yes. Good.
No.
Good.
I'd rather look at Jordan Clarkson stats to see how he's going to help us. He's a Knick now.
Yeah. I mean, the East has gotten. I mean, what do you think about Brooklyn getting Michael Porter? I still don't think it. Listen, we're not the only one thinking the Knicks are the East is wide open, right? Teams, they may not be thinking championship, but they may be thinking we can get that 6th spot now, right? So teams that's probably in the bottom, part of the Eastern Conference may be feeling, hey, we can make some moves. We might be able to, get into the 6th spot. Brooklyn got Michael Porter Jr.
Was that a straight 1-for-1 Michael Porter for Cam?
Yes, with that draft pick going, the unprotected draft pick going from Denver in 2032. But yes,
Michael Porter and an unprotected 2032 first-round pick to the Brooklyn Nets for Cam Johnson.
That was a good deal for Denver, I think. Yeah, I like Cam Johnson.
I like Cam Johnson too. I mean, I don't think.
And it allowed him to bring back Bruce Brown because it got him under the salary cap, and they signed Brown with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, I think. So Brown is back in Denver along with Cam Johnson. I think Denver improved with that, especially Michael Porter Jr.'s inconsistency.
Yeah. I do think Michael Porter Jr. has a higher upside than Cam Johnson and a better skill set, but the injury history, I mean, maybe he'll be the focal point and maybe we'll see more of what he can, do, because he'll probably be the first option on that team. Who else is there?
I mean, you still got that Cam Thomas is still there, right?
Nick Claxton.
Yeah.
All 5 point guards who are 6'3" and can't shoot that they drafted.
I mean, Michael Porter Jr. He's not a good defender. I mean, not that Cam Johnson is a great defender, but I think he plays defense much better than Michael Porter Jr.
No, he does. But Michael Porter Jr. is a better player. Yeah. Healthy.
He's also more expensive, though. Porter Jr. makes like $40 million a year for the next 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, I mean, the Nets can afford that because I don't think they're planning on being overly competitive in the next 2 years, but
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit down with the rosters. I'm looking forward to that in September when we go over. Is it September or October? Early October when we go over the rosters of each.
It's whenever you say it is, but training camp.
It's not. No.
Training camp's in October. Season starts in October, so late September, early October.
It's gonna have to happen before that.
Yeah.
In October, we're not talking about any other team but the Knicks. At the training camp, that's what we're doing.
All right, so maybe September we'll do that. This is a lot of movement. Yeah. His bowl. This is why it helps to have a coach. I think, and listen, they may already have a coach. They may already know it's going to be Mike Brown, and maybe they're getting input from him on the roster. It just seems like the Knicks are like, we're gonna build a team, and you just come in and coach. You just come in and coach it. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know though. If you're a head coaching candidate and you can't deal with the guys that we're getting to fill out the end of our bench, like, are you really the right coaching candidate?
I mean, but don't you want the coach to have some say in who he's going to be playing? Because they're going to have a style as well. You know, like Clarkson is going to play. It's not like Clarkson is the 10th, the 12th guy. He's going to play. And what if it's a coach that's like, yo, I don't like this guy. I don't like the way this guy doesn't fit my system.
Not necessarily, Queen. When they hire a coach, like when they hire the coaches, there's already a roster in place. The coach is going to have to be creative and optimize that particular roster. And they'll make changes along the way to fit the coach's style. But they don't need a coach to make moves. Especially small moves.
Deal breaker.
We're not making major moves. We cannot make major moves. So we're making small moves just to fill up the roster. So they don't need Mike Brown or Taylor Jenkins input for that.
But what if the coach says, you know what, my preference, like you guys want to score, and my preference would be a defender?
Then he don't get the job.
You know, like is the front office making the decision that, listen, I drafted these guys. I need these guys to play. We're not getting a point guard. You're gonna have to just deal with Kolek as your backup point guard. I mean, I don't think to me, I think that's less than ideal on this level. You know, it's not college, you know. I think the coach should have some say in shaping some of the roster. If you can do it, you know, obviously, you know, a coach may come in, you can't do anything until the off season. But in this case, there was an opportunity to bring a coach in to get some input on, what do you think about young guys? You think Kolek is ready to be, you know, the backup point guard, or is the front office making the decision? Listen, we drafted this guy. He's going to be the backup point guard. You're just going to have to deal with it.
Maybe they had conversations about these players when they were interviewing.
Yeah.
Maybe they said, look, these are some of the things that we're considering, you know.
That could have been a determining factor too. Whether they get the job on, hey, can you work with, we get new guys, can you work with them, or you want your own guys? Because just work with what we give you.
Every coach, though, in this league, this is not high school, this is not college, just work with. Every coach has a preference for the type of players they want to bring in. Now, obviously, when you take a job, some of those guys are already there. But over the years, they do shape the roster into one that kind of fits. Every coach does that. This is not college. Just come in and these are the guys. Even in college, these high.
But Queen, let me ask you this, right? I'm sorry.
Even in college, the coach will recruit certain type of players. Like a coach who's going to be there for a while, there's certain players they'll recruit and certain players they won't. This guy doesn't fit my system. This guy doesn't have the intangibles that I need. You see that in college as well.
So do you think Julius Randle was, between Julius Randle and Karl Anthony Towns, which one of them you think was more of a Tibbs kind of player?
Randle.
Okay.
Randle.
I would agree with that. But yeah, they got rid of Randle. I'm not just because of Tibbs. I know there's the contract, the extension situation they didn't want to have to deal with.
Yeah.
But
I don't think that's, if it was 100% Tibbs' decision, extension be damned. I think
Randle would still be here.
I think so.
I think so too.
Hey, congratulations to Julius getting that 3-year, $33 million per season deal. Good on him. I think it's a good value contract for both teams.
Yeah.
I think that Minnesota did well there.
Yeah.
He deserves it though. Julius, like he struggled at time during the season, but he really came through for them during the playoffs.
Well, for some games, he struggled in some of those games too. Somebody said, "Who's that?" Cody. I'm actually looking forward to Clarkson balling with Brunson, McKelvey, Cat Hart, going to see more bench with a new. Who's the starter though? I don't think Clarkson is starting.
No, he's not starting, but he's gonna work out though. Jordan Clarkson will work out here.
Yeah, I mean, and this isn't. Yeah, I need the Knicks to get a coach in here. I just don't want the Knicks to be the front office non-basketball asses as far as coaching is concerned, to be making the rotation already. These are the top five. This is who's playing behind them. Like, let's get a coach in here, please. All right. Anything else? Nope. All right. If we could hire a coach, or if something significant happens, there's a trade, I'll reach out to you guys, see if we could do an emergency, find time to do like a 1 hour show.
That will be tomorrow.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay. The Cole Anthony podcast is coming tomorrow.
Nah, man. Jordan Clarkson done messed that up, man.
He's already backed off. He was sure he was coming, and like, no Clarkson and Cole.
Hey, you never know. You never know. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And clearing waivers is 48 hours.
So he's a Knick.
Yeah. Maybe somebody else maybe a point guard would be brought out. We'll see. Oh, Paris has a question for us. Is this is somebody asked us this. That's the same question someone asked us earlier. This must be a rumor, right? Is this a rumor?
I was gonna say, where is that coming from?
I would not.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I mean, I guess if you throw Mitch injury history in there, I'm just not a big Rui. Like, it would have to be somebody else.
He's not terrible though.
Who? No,
Rui.
he's not. He's not. Yeah, I mean, he's not terrible. But,
what do y'all think of Dawn Staley as a coaching candidate?
Nah. And not because she's a woman. I don't want any college coaches, male or female, coaching the Knicks in this championship contending season. I need a coach with NBA experience. That's me. It has nothing to do with her gender for me.
From an experience standpoint, I agree, but I also think she's eminently qualified to have an NBA job. And if the circumstances were different, I wouldn't mind it being this NBA job, but I don't want to stake our championship window to a coach without any experience. So I kind of agree with you there, but I love Dawn Staley, and it would be really cool. Then the Knicks are famous for doing stuff like that too.
Maybe she'd come on that as associate head coach or the first.
I don't think she leaves South Carolina for anything less than a head job, though. Even with the Knicks.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We are out of here. Any last words?
Thank you, Queen, once again. Thank you to the chat. Great energy tonight from you guys. We appreciate you so much, whether you're on X or YouTube, and keeping us up to date on all the signings of what's going on while we're in mid-show. Great job, guys. Ajay, glad to have you back. We missed you, bro.
Always fun.
Always fun, and hopefully we'll have even more to talk about on Thursday.
Yeah, if we don't have an emergency show,
or tomorrow.
Before then. Yeah, by that time, Clarkson would have cleared waivers, right? This is Monday, yeah. He would have cleared waivers, and I can do more research on him now. Yeah. Anyway, Geoff, I appreciate you. Adji, I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody listening on X, everybody listening here on YouTube, everybody that's in the chat. Anthony D, appreciate you. Size 9, David G, Wiz was in the house. Sherman was in the house. Cole D, Rick James, Space Ghost, the coolest 718. Malik is under investigation as well. Oh, Malik Beasley. I was thinking Monk. Appreciate you. Big Kappa. I love that name. Appreciate you.
Lady and the Chef made a cameo.
Lady and the Chef, miss you. And Diva Locks. Nostalgic Nick. Greg was in the house earlier. Leon Mitchell, appreciate you.
Oh.
Not going to get to everybody. The art man formerly known as Steve.
Look at Anthony D. Shout out to Anthony D, man.
He said, nah, I'm not going to come back. He said, y'all got like a nice chemistry. Whatever.
For real, man. I feel like I'm messing it up now, man.
I was like, nah, you can hop on anytime. Who else? Yeah. If I missed you guys on Dios NYK, always rocking with us, encouraging everybody to hit the like button.
For real.
Yeah. Building blocks, Silk Sutton. Yeah. Wonder Woman was in the house early. Been a minute. Wonder Woman, appreciate you. And everybody else I didn't mention. Long list. I appreciate everybody. Until next time. We'll be back Thursday. Make sure your notifications on Thursday, 9 p.m. And there might be a pop-up show. Breaking news, right? Keep your notifications on. Till next time, fam.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at? Where you at?